Mainland China faces a new wave of new variant infections as hospitals continue to be overwhelmed. The epidemic in mainland China is becoming more complicated, with many new variants of COVID-19 spreading in the country. Recently, some Chinese Communist Party officials have also admitted that the epidemic caused by the new coronavirus strain has broken out again in many places. Hospitals are overcrowded, and epidemic prevention drugs are in high demand in many areas in the south. People revealed that this virus is very powerful, and many young people have passed away suddenly. Many people suddenly collapsed and passed away while walking, and some never woke up after going to sleep, even though they were still very young. At the same time, the number of people who passed away from the new coronavirus in Hong Kong has increased tenfold compared with 2 months ago. Meanwhile, neighboring countries of China in Southeast Asia, such as Thailand and Singapore, have recorded a high number of people infected with the new variant, with dozens passing away every day. Chinese blogger. Recently, many people have found that there are more people coughing and with fever around them, and the new coronavirus has quietly risen again. On May 16th, the topic of the new coronavirus infection is rising again in mainland China became a hot search on the internet. According to Li Dongzheng, chief physician of the Department of Infection Comprehensive Department of Beijing Xi'an Hospital, affiliated with Capital Medical University, the number of outpatient visits and the positive rate of the new coronavirus have begun to increase since March. Many mainland people have posted videos saying that this wave of the virus is very powerful, and many people have symptoms such as fever, cold, sore throat, cough, etc., and the hospital is full again. Mainland Chinese. I've been infected with the coronavirus again. Oh my God, my throat hurts, my nose is stuffy, I have a runny nose, and I cough. I feel like I can cough out my lungs with every cough. And today, my sense of taste and smell has decreased. I clearly feel that this coronavirus strain is very strong, so everyone should be careful. The Chaoyang District Center for Disease Control and Prevention in Beijing reported on May 12th that the current coronavirus activity in Chaoyang District is on the rise. Data released by the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention on the 8th showed that within 5 weeks, from March 31st to May 4th, the national outpatient coronavirus positive rate rose from 7.5% to 16.2%. Among hospitalized severe respiratory cases, the coronavirus positive rate rose from 3.3% to 6.3%. The coronavirus positive rate in southern China is higher than in the north. The real data is unknown. In addition, the authorities still have not announced the number of confirmed cases or people who passed away. Dr. Lin Xiaoxu, an American virology expert, this data from the CDC can be said to have not told the public the very important extent of the current COVID-19 outbreak, but only mentioned a so-called increase in infection rate and detection rate. This detection rate has not been explained here. For example, whether the detection rate of the new coronavirus has increased by 16% among the 3 viruses, or whether the detection of 10 respiratory viruses has increased to 16%, etc. Too much information has been omitted, so this is a very serious information concealment and misleading. According to the Hong Kong Health Department's report on the 15th in early April, Hong Kong recorded another 30 people who passed away from the new coronavirus in the past 4 weeks, which is 10 times that of February. In addition, people in many places in the mainland told NTD that recently, the epidemic in China has been raging, many young people have passed away suddenly, crematoriums and cemeteries have been expanded, and some rural cemeteries are saturated. The authorities are continuing to conceal the truth. Mr. An, a citizen of Shenzhen, there are many sudden deaths now of all ages, but more young people. I have seen several young people in their 20s and 30s who were not sick or had no symptoms, but suddenly collapsed. Ms. Zhang from Yuxi, Yunnan. The price of buying a cemetery has increased by several thousand yuan, tens of thousands of yuan. The number of people who passed away in recent years has increased compared to before the epidemic. The official said it was influenza A and then some virus infection. Anyway, they changed the name to fool the people. China's real estate crisis continues. China Fortune Land Development defaults on 23 billion yuan of debt. Amid the prolonged downturn in China's real estate sector, the debt crisis facing property developers has deepened. Among them, China Fortune Land Development recently announced that it has defaulted on 23 billion yuan in debt. Rongsheng Development is also mired in financial trouble, with more than 1.1 billion yuan in unpaid liabilities and multiple lawsuits looming. China Fortune Land Development, 192.2 billion yuan in debt restructured, over 23 billion yuan still in default, according to the Debt Restructuring Progress Report released by China Fortune Land Development Konadish Limited. On the evening of May 16th, as of April 30, 2025, the company had restructured 192.2 billion yuan in debt, over 23 billion yuan still in default, about 192.273 billion yuan out of its total 219.2 billion yuan in financial debt under the debt restructuring plan, covering both domestic and foreign bonds as well as various financing instruments. However, despite this significant progress, China Fortune Land Development still faces massive unresolved debt. As of that date, the cumulative amount in default stood at 23.03 billion yuan, excluding interest, underscoring the immense pressure the company faces in debt repayment. In terms of cash flow, China Fortune Land Development and its subsidiaries added 350 million yuan in overdue debt in April, highlighting ongoing liquidity stress. Furthermore, several new arbitration and litigation cases totaling 1.419 billion yuan in claims have added further uncertainty to its future operations. The financial data paints a grim picture. The company reported a net loss attributable to the parent company of 4.817 billion yuan in 2024 and a further loss of 2.701 billion yuan in the first quarter of 2025. Losses are deepening, and a near-term recovery in profitability appears unlikely. In the current real estate climate, marked by high leverage risks, declining demand, and tightening regulatory oversight, China Fortune Land Development has made efforts to save itself. However, the likelihood of regaining profitability in the short term remains very slim. Rongsheng Development is in a quagmire, 1.1 billion yuan in new debts and over 1.3 billion yuan in lawsuits. China Fortune Land Development is not alone. The mounting debt crisis in China's property sector continues to spread. Another developer, Rongsheng Development, also revealed its precarious financial position on May 16th. The announcement disclosed that Rongsheng's newly due unpaid debts totaled 1.105 billion yuan, including 665 million yuan in principal and interest on medium-term notes. On the legal front, Rongsheng Development is involved in two major lawsuits with Langfang Bank, with total claims exceeding 200 million yuan. Additionally, the company is facing numerous other legal disputes, with a total amount of 1.333 billion yuan involved, equivalent to nearly 9% of its net assets. The fact that shareholders' pledged shares were auctioned off by the court, with some failing to sell, further reflects investors' lack of confidence in the company's future. According to its financial report, Rongsheng Development posted a net loss attributable to the parent company of approximately 8.444 billion yuan in 2024, representing a year-on-year surge of 2,293.07%. The net loss after deducting non-recurring gains and losses reached around 8.049 billion yuan, a staggering year-on-year increase of 2,622.1%. Sales of top 100 real estate companies fell 9.8% in the first quarter and 30.6% last year. Data previously released by China Index Academy showed that in the first quarter of this year, total sales of China's top 100 real estate companies dropped by 9.8% year-on-year. Sales in 2024 declined by 30.6% compared to the previous year. Among them, sales of the sales champion Poly Development fell by 23.5%, and its net profit attributable to the parent company plunged by 58.43% year-on-year. In recent years, China's economic growth has slowed, real estate demand has contracted, and regulatory controls have tightened. The pressure to ensure housing delivery has left developers grappling with capital shortages and growing default risks. The sheer number of creditors, complex debt structures, and difficulties in asset disposal have all contributed to the increasingly low success rate of restructuring efforts.
Severe drought in many provinces of China Henan farmers harvest wheat early due to water shortage. Since the beginning of this year, China has been hit by the most devastating drought in nearly 60 years, affecting multiple provinces. Wheat fields that should be bursting with grain are now parched and withered, with early ripening caused by a crippling lack of water. In Henan, the heart of China's wheat production, desperate farmers are harvesting early in a last-ditch effort to reduce their losses. Online, grief and outrage are spreading fast, with netizens sharing the drought in their hometowns and slamming the government's sloppy and ineffective well drilling projects. Henan Province, China's largest wheat-growing region, has been battling a brutal drought since April. With no relief in sight, vast swaths of farmland have cracked under the relentless dry spell. In early May, typically the crucial grain-filling season, wheat stalks across Henan looked more like dry weeds, their ears shriveled and lifeless. At a press conference on May 12th, Henan officials admitted that 40% of the province's counties and cities are suffering from severe meteorological drought. The disaster now stretches across most of western, central, and northern Henan and parts of the east and southwest. The result? Wheat crops are maturing prematurely, forcing early harvesting across the region. Ms. Wang, a villager from Zhangzhuang in Yiyang County, Luoyang, told Mainland media on May 15th that her family's 30-acre farm could only be irrigated using self-funded pumps. The cost? Around 20 yuan per hour for water and electricity. She recently spent over 1,000 yuan just to water a portion of their land. Still, the wheat barely grew past 20 centimeters, dried out and yellowed. Some plants didn't even grow ears, a chilling sight. "There's no harvest at all," Ms. Wang said. "We paid for seeds, fertilizer, machines. It's like losing everything. And if we don't harvest now, we can't plant corn next month." Jiang Long, a farmer from Taikang County in Zhoukou City, echoed the despair. Last year's drought was bad, but this year, he says, is even worse. Since February, there have only been a few light rains. Too little to make a difference. To save their crops, villagers are laying pipes and using river water with makeshift irrigation systems. Now is the last grain-filling window. Everyone is doing whatever they can to keep the wheat alive, Zhang said. But the crisis isn't confined to Henan. Hebei, Shandong, Shanxi, Hubei, Anhui, Guangxi, and more have also endured 6 months of punishing drought. These are all key wheat-producing regions, and the timing couldn't be worse. Water is critically low during the wheat's flowering and grain-filling stages. Experts predict a major drop in wheat output this year. In Guangxi, the situation is extreme. Since last October, a rare drought has gripped the region through autumn, winter, and spring. As of now, 97.5% of the area is drought-affected, with 68.7% classified as extreme drought. According to media reports, 11 cities and 52 counties in Guangxi have been hit. Economic losses are estimated at 210 million yuan. Over 83,000 people are facing drinking water shortages, something not seen in decades. Across Huanghai and Jiangnan, farmland is failing, and farmers are flooding social media with cries for help. On Chinese platforms, the drought has gone viral. A netizen from Yunnan wrote, "Looks like it's going to be a dry year. It used to rain here, but not anymore." From Hunan, "I heard reservoir water is being diverted to generate electricity, leaving rice fields bone dry. No water for plowing even now." And from Guangxi, "We used to get reservoir water through canals, but there hasn't been a drought like this in 70 years. Some reservoirs are bone dry."